Alrighty, welcome back to season 6. That took me a second. We've had a few seasons. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shop Stool Podcast. We're obviously super excited to be back. We've had a bit of a break over the last few months, but we are now back. Now that the clocks have changed. I love the way we time our podcast on the sun and moon and stars. That's essentially when we align our return of the podcast. How are you guys?
Oh, just small changes in life.
Just a little bit.
It's been, yeah. But our last record was what, October?
Sounds right.
I can tell you. Like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's been all change.
I believe you just sold your house, I think, in the last episode.
Yeah, so I'd sold my house, had no idea where I was going to, was trying to find somewhere in either Victoria, Queensland or Tasmania, and we found somewhere. So I have relocated to what my dad pointed out was the coldest city in Australia, otherwise known as Ballarat.
Nice.
So,
and judging by your the picture clarity coming through, you've got a pretty serious internet connection.
It is better than what we had in Yarraville in Melbourne.
Yeah,
it's weird. So we're on the east side of Ballarat, like 10 minutes from the city. In bushland, we've got probably a little bit more land than what we originally looked at. So we were sort of looking at like that 3,000, 4,000 square meters where you could have a workshop but still be a decent enough distance from neighbours. And yeah, we ended up on 8 acres. So like it's a lot. But it's flat, it's usable. Awesome. The house is pretty good. It's an old mid-80s mud brick house. So
cool.
Well, we can't see it because we're not a video podcast, but I can give the guys a tour.
Nice.
So,
wow.
Lots of mud brick, pine ceilings, slate floor, which is currently a big conversation point between myself and my wife because Lani wants to get rid of it.
Is that because of is that an aesthetic thing or because of the cold?
She's saying the cold, but I think a bit of both.
Right.
But no, I have to say, like it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made is moving out here. Like it's still accessible to Melbourne. It's accessible to a decent sized city in Ballarat, and just like the warmth of the welcome. Like when I moved here, I posted on Instagram and said, listen, if anybody's free to help me one day to unload some machinery from the truck, and the number of people that responded and came and helped, like it was just class.
Awesome.
And then everything just got dumped in the existing shed, which is small. It's like 65 square meters, so just over half of what I used to be in. So everything got dumped in there. I did some small renovations on the house, and now I'm at the point of like looking at the workshop going, yeah, I need to address this. So it's whether or not I've been on the fence between enclosing a lean-to that is on the side of the workshop, which would bring me up to 120 square meters, or building a new workshop. And I think we just made the decision this week to build a new workshop.
Nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, easy. And how big will that be?
Probably about 140, 150.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a big workshop, eh? I mean, 60 square is not a small workshop at all.
It's not, but it's like, and it probably would be fine if I was just going to do small production work. Like the second you want to do a larger dining table or something like that, all the machinery ends up tucked against the wall and pulled out. And if I do want to do teaching, like it's not viable to do it in a space that size. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
And also you can include an office as well.
Yeah, office, maybe even a bit of a gallery at the front. But yeah, big enough to grow into as opposed to building 120, which is what I was used to. And would have worked fine. But yeah, just, like as you know, Joey, the cost to go that extra 30 square meters is so negligible in the scheme of the whole build. Like everything's all about getting a builder to site, the cost of the slab, that's right. So,
and it'll just be a steel shed.
Yeah, just a kit shed. I can't remember if I mentioned this back in October, but my sister-in-law, Miranda, actually works for an industrial shed company.
Right.
So it's a nice bit of serendipity, and yeah, maybe get a wee friends and family discount on it.
Nice.
But yeah, that's basically us. So just adjusting to country life and loving it. Like, love that even in the current workshop is, I don't know, it's like 40 meters from the house, but I can make as much noise as I want at night. You don't hear it in the house. It's great.
That's so cool. That's so awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you got some work prospects in locally, or how have you been looking into that?
Like, as you would know from following my Instagram, I have done sweet fuck all.
What Instagram?
I have done no posting. I've done no advertising. I've done very, very little. I finished that big clover table for John Wardle.
Oh, yes.
That was the last thing that I finished up in my old workshop in mid-January. And then from there, it's just been a few small little things, just not taking on work.
Yeah.
And then once I'd kind of got the move-in renos, like there was a lot of lighting needed fixed in the house and replaced and stuff, and electricians work and stuff. So now all that was done, I was like, right, I really have to sort of start to reach out and connect with potential clients or gallery spaces in Ballarat. And it was literally on my list for that week. And then I got a call from the Ballarat City Council. And it was through Patrick Adney.
Right.
He had told somebody, and through Kate and Jack at We Are Makers as well, that I saw they were coming to Ballarat. I'm like, well, why are you guys coming from Scotland to Ballarat? And they said, oh, we're going to cover this event. I was like, okay, cool. And then next thing, the council contacted me and said, would you like to be a part of it? Like, the lineup's been confirmed for sort of 3 or 4 months, but we have one space that we can make available, and like, it wasn't intended to be used at the exhibition, but we can move stuff out of it and put you in there. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Awesome.
So jumped on that, and they gave me the real hard sell on it as well. And I'm waiting for the figure of, how much is this going to cost me?
Yeah.
And they said, listen, we're a council. Obviously our budgets are pretty tight, so, we can only pay you. I'm like, sorry, what?
It's the wrong way around.
So it was like $800, or $850 or something like that a weekend. And I'm like, okay.
I can make that work.
I get paid to exhibit my own work. Like, this is unheard of.
That's awesome. Very cool.
So I have to do like a small demonstration. So I'm probably going to take up one of the star map tables and just sort of show people the basics of like the brass fitting and all that kind of stuff. And then, you're able to sell your work at it with no commissions as well.
Great.
So it's pretty cool. Like, I've instantly seen the difference of being like a fish in a pond full of other fish versus being in a smaller area where the council really actively engage with you. Like, when I was in Melbourne, in Maribyrnong, like, I got a lot of support in Kensington from City of Melbourne, but then when I moved to Maribyrnong, like, apparently an arts council, I got nothing from them, like donuts. Like, every time I would email them about something or email an event and saying this is coming up, is there any chance of getting in a council, like just the council reposting it? Nothing. So it's quite cool moving to a regional city where there is a genuine want for the arts here. Like, there's an amazing art gallery, probably the best regional art gallery I've ever seen.
Awesome.
And I'm the only furniture maker at the exhibition as well. Yeah. So there's like
perfect
glass blowers, jewelry makers, leather makers, all that kind of stuff. So again, that's a sort of a new experience for me. I think I did one in Melbourne where it was sort of mixed media stuff, but this is the first one I've done in a long time where I'll be the only furniture maker there. And it's been a roller coaster. So there's also a so you guys would have heard of Sovereign Hill and Eureka and all that kind of stuff. Eureka Stockade, would you have heard of that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, where
I don't know why.
Yeah, miners took up arms against the British troops here. So that's just down the road. And then there's Sovereign Hill, which is the gold mining area. And there was a gold museum, sort of 1970s kind of brutalist building that wasn't paying the bills, and then they got a grant in 2019 or 2020 to turn it into a creative arts centre for the lost trades. I think it's Rare and Lost Trades is what it's called. And it is incredible. Brand new workshops, kitted out, like in this amazing old building that, that would have been quite cold, but the fit out is all timber, very, very high end. So that's like 5 minutes down the road from me. There's the prospect of potentially teaching there as well. And I'm doing a talk there in a few weeks for an event called Pechacucho, which is like an architecture and design thing.
How did you hook that up?
Same thing. Like they kind of came to me and asked me to do it. It's just been a bit. I've been a bit shocked by it in a great way.
So there's your answer, folks. If you feel like you're not getting any traction, just move out to the bush.
Move regional.
And that's your ticket.
I know quite a few people have had the same experience who have moved. Like obviously Jem and like Butter, when they moved to Castlemaine, they found a council that were very supportive. I know other people that have moved to Kyneton, Macedon Ranges, and they've had the same experience. So yeah, with commercial rents the way they were in Melbourne, it just was not sustainable for me to have a practice there. And being able to have one at home where, like you, Joey, like you, Robin, now I can split my family time and my work time and just be a bit more flexible with life and not have to worry about the overheads quite so much.
Yes.
Just going back to that council topic.
Mm-hmm.
What was your intention of contacting the council? So are you contacting them to say, look, I'm here if anything comes up, or were you contacting them, or were they contacting you about specific things? I'm just trying to get my head around, as a furniture maker, how is the council helping me?
So in Melbourne, when I was in Maribyrnong, it was mainly to try to get them to repost events on socials and things like that. So if I was hosting like an open day at my workshop, trying to get them to post things like that. But it's really good because most councils do have access to galleries and things like that. And you go regional and they have a lot of those sort of spaces. So in Ballarat, they've got the Craft Lab is going to be at the Mining Exchange, which is sort of pretty similar to the meat market where we were, similar style of building, but it's where the gold dealers, people used to bring their nuggets, and they'd sit and do the dealing exchange. And in the front of it, there's a gallery space which different artists can rent out. They also do a free program, and there's a hat maker. What's a hat maker called? I can't remember.
No, they had a special term.
There's a hat maker that took the studio in front, and it's like street frontage on one of the main streets in Ballarat in this beautiful old building, totally free of charge for 6 months. So wow. You just never know. Like councils and arts departments, it depends how motivated they are to engage. But I would say to everybody, reach out to your local council and just see what's there. Like, you're a rate payer.
I would never have done that or thought to do that, because to me the council is just like the government.
That's all they do. Yeah,
they don't care about anything. But actually, local councils are very community focused. So seems like a logical step.
Yeah, and they might have funding, to help you with an event or something like that as well, even if it's not giving you a free space or. Yeah, so it's been good.
So that really event side of things you're talking about, so when you are exhibiting your work. Mm-hmm. So again, we're talking about a very specific scenario here when someone's trying to promote their work. Yeah.
Okay. But even networking, like say you want to do a collaboration with different artists and things like that, the arts department in a council will probably be able to facilitate things that might help you. I don't know.
Well, it's funny. Up here, we had a cyclone come through a few months ago. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, we saw your preparation videos.
Yeah.
And the council here has reached out to the sawmill that I go to, and they've contacted him to mill up all the trees that came down in the cyclone. And the whole purpose, and again, this is going back to what you were saying, Joe, about how are councils involved in this kind of thing. they are now going to, or they're looking to start a program where they will take all those felled trees and then they give that sawed up tree to local makers to build structures for the community.
Awesome.
So that's
cool.
It's all a council run program. And yeah, it's a really, apparently they've taken that idea from southern states. So, they probably do something like that where you are as well, Bryan.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool council-led, council-run initiative.
Yeah, I think I've spoken about them a few times with Timber Revival, the company that are based in, they're like a not-for-profit that are based in Collingwood, that they have that urban kiln and stuff, and they were taking council trees. So I actually went down for a visit after I think we'd done the last show. And Jesus, what a setup. Like the stuff that they're, like the plane trees and stuff that are coming out of Melbourne now that would have been mulched before are now being processed, and it's really, really cool. It's good to see. And like the ever looming logging ban is, the hot topic is not long to go. We got 3 more months or something.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of that, have you noticed, and this, for everyone listening, this will just be a quick update. I've had a couple of dealings with my local guys here, and they aren't seeing any impact. There's no impact.
There's no cost rises yet. I don't know whether it's just going to wait until, I don't know, a month before or something like that, and then just a big spike, or whether there's enough stocks that it'll sort of be pushed down the line a bit.
It wasn't January 1st the deadline?
Nah, July. It's middle of the year. I think it was July 31st, I think. I'll have to double check that.
Okay.
But,
okay. I read an article that mentioned January 1st. Maybe that was when it was the bill came in or something, but maybe it was only enforced from later this year.
Just trying to look it up while we're on.
Yeah, because there's 2 suppliers here.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, January 1st.
Yeah.
I figured it was mid-year. But no, I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any supply or price issues yet. But it's obviously gonna work in there at some point. But then, projects like those council reclamation of fallen trees and getting trees from farmers and stuff, and trying to, whether there are more small kiln businesses that start up as a result of it. I don't know. You're gonna have to find a way to use them.
Yeah. Robin, how has things changed with you since our last show?
Besides the cyclone. So this year, end of last year, I quit my day job, and I am now officially nothing but a full-time furniture maker. Before we started the show, I was just saying to Joey, Bryan, you and Joey, I take my hats off to you guys doing this full-time. More so Joey, because you're the breadwinner, and it is different, completely different. I can understand now why a lot of people will say, if you love this, don't do it as a full-time job.
I'm pretty sure we told you that several times.
Because everything's changed. Everything, the business side of it is just so all-consuming that it's completely changed the way I approach furniture.
Yep.
So I got very lucky. Straight off the bat on at the end of January, I got this. Someone needed me to build it's a reptile enclosure. So it's essentially like a giant pantry cupboard with glass sliding doors that you put different types of reptiles in. So that was my first job as a full-time woodworker, which was great. So I could, I spoke to you guys about some of the aspects of it, quoted it up, and that was awesome. And then since then, the projects have been getting smaller and smaller. and on Sunday, I just handed over to a client because I'm still working on this reptile enclosure. It's taken me way longer than I thought it would. But I was doing other projects at the same time.
Yeah.
On Sunday, I handed over my last commission besides the reptile enclosure, and now it's just crickets.
Yeah.
And now I'm stressing because there's no money coming in after this. And this is where I say, like with Joey, with you, I take my hat off to you. I guess I've still got to remember that I'm right in the beginning of it. So my network's small, My reach is very limited. And so the idea is that it will hopefully expand from there. But I'm giving this 2 years. And if in 2 years I haven't seen like serious progress, I might just have to go back to my old IT job, which I don't want to do.
Well, so you at least have something in the back pocket. But yeah, for me right now, that is the biggest problem as well. The work industry, I guess, is just so unpredictable. It's so up and down. Nobody can plan to do anything with what's happening. And I've got delays on every job that I could have. Like at the moment, I haven't cut a piece of wood for a week because I just can't get money out of people. I can't get to a site to finish an existing job. I've got a $50,000 job that I'm meant to be installing, and the plasterers and painters didn't show up to the job, so that's a month behind, and so there's a month without pay for me. You know, it's like, and there's very seldom small amounts of other work coming in. It's very hard to price anything. So it's a tough climate, I think, all around for people to be spending money on stuff.
Mm-hmm. Is this out of the ordinary for you though? How extreme it is?
Yeah, it's definitely, and it's been like I was talking about it in one of the last episodes. Like, there's nothing around, and then all of a sudden, I got a big job and I'm busy. Well, that job's been and gone, and not much else has come. I've got some things in the pipeline, but again, it's getting to the point where people hand over their cash and let me start making something, and people are very reluctant to hand over that deposit at the moment.
How about you, Bryan? I know you said obviously you've been pushing everything off, but have you had a lot of inquiries?
I've had a few inquiries, mainly smaller scale work, not necessarily like memory boxes and things like that, and coffee tables and things. I'll still get inquiries for, but it's definitely like the climate is people have tightened their belt strings, and I don't like. It's one of the reasons why I was looking at teaching and stuff as being a stable, even if it's only going to provide 20% or 30% of your income. You know what's coming in every month. Yeah, it is a tough climate, but I think, Robin, you've done it the right way. You know, like you haven't overextended yourself. Like you didn't do it after 3 months of woodworking. You didn't say, I'm going to quit my job and be a full-time. Like,
yeah,
you built enough skills that you know how to build something. You haven't gone and taken out a lease that's going to cost you $25,000 a year, and then you're fighting just to cover the lease and your bills. Whereas you're working from home, so I don't know, like you get a quiet period, you just make a YouTube video, right? Yeah. Just make something small, film it, and then you'll get some revenue off the video. Well, speaking of revenue off videos, talk us through your master plan of how's that been?
Yes. Are you talking about the
removal of all your old?
So
right.
in August last year, I took down my concrete countertop video, which was my monthly income. Now, admittedly, it had been getting less and less. One of the things they talk about in the YouTube space is you need to own your niche. If you can own your niche, then you are guaranteed to make decent revenue. And I did own the concrete countertop niche for years, and then I lost it, and it was out of my control, and it is what it is. But I went from making my biggest month. I think it was $2,600 in a month on YouTube revenue, and the majority of that was the concrete countertop, all the way down to what I was making in the beginning of the year was maybe a couple $100. So it's a horrible fall from grace, but it makes you reevaluate. And part of that was to get rid of the concrete countertop, because I don't do concrete countertops anymore. I'm a woodworking business, and so now I've pulled all those videos that are not really part of my future. I've pulled all of them down, and it's just I've literally, you can see, I put out a video about this on my second YouTube channel, my second channel, you can see this perfect, that my growth just goes up and then it just comes straight back down. And I'm literally back where I was in 2016. I'm only just making enough to make sort of $100 a month on YouTube. And, views are basically gone. My main YouTube channel is losing subscribers so quickly because I'm not putting out much content on it because what we were talking about.
Because you're taking commissions, yeah.
I'm taking commissions. That's where my time's going, is I'm building stuff now. I haven't had a chance to sit down and put all those videos together. So my subscribers are in the negative count monthly. And I'm working my way back up to a 0 subscribers per month because I've been sitting at minus 50 a month. Right. So it's all chaos at the moment. I'm actually putting more of my soul into my second channel, which is sort of working. Joey, you and I talked about this many episodes ago, where in hindsight you wished you'd put more of yourself into your videos, so your personality was part of it, and that's why I'm enjoying that second channel, because that's me for, it's all the shit that I get wrong, that's all part of it. I'm not trying to make a polished video, but anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. The YouTube side of things, and the timing is horrific, because not only am I now trying to make money through commissions and having a relatively mediocre time, but that stable YouTube income that I used to have is now gone. So I can't rely on that or add that to my monthly income anymore. So it's tough. I don't want to say tough times, because you know how many times I wake up and
challenging. So
and I wake up and I go, this is so hard, and then I think, no, you know what? 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago, this is all I wanted. And there are people who are watching me going, that lucky bastard, he gets to do it. So, stop with the woe is me bullshit.
Yeah. And all you can do is enjoy it while you've got it. And really, that's the biggest the biggest thing of all in life, is just enjoy what you're doing right now and then deal with tomorrow. But one thing you mentioned, which I thought you said just before, how much your head is just in the business now and the woodworking side of it. You could see how people might lose the love for it, essentially, because they're now in the business. It's funny, because as soon as you go, now I'm on the clock, I have to be working. Like before that, like if there was a problem with my jointer, you go, oh, well, let's spend the day tattooing around with the jointer, and let's just make it nice and pretty and enjoy the time. And then when you come out to work and the jointer's not right, you're like, fuck. Now that's like, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes, and if I can't make it work, I've got to do something else, because I need to be working. And like straight away, that level of relaxation goes, and you just, I need to be doing other things. So that's definitely a different perspective.
Do you find that changed at all when you had a home workshop versus a workshop that was separate, so that you could actually go and enjoy your shop at times, or not?
The one thing I've learned about having a workshop at home is that you have to be mindful that it is only 30 seconds away from the family. And that's good, but it's bad in that you can be with the family and go, oh, just pop down to the workshop for 10 seconds. And
you're there for 20 minutes.
Half an hour, 20 minutes, and then you start getting angry text messages or something from the wife. You're like, you're meant to be playing with the kids. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You're like, yes. So I don't go into the workshop almost at all in the weekends.
I suppose for me it's maybe a bit different because my kids are younger than yours and they go to bed earlier. Like I'm excited. Like the prospect of having a new workshop and 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, I can go and spend 2 hours like working on the workshop rather than working on projects. Like I had always been, I think you guys would have seen, well, Robin, you've seen it in person. Joey, you would have seen photos of it. Like my workshop in the Jack's magazine, it was never a pretty space. Like I never had beautiful cabinets and like things that are hanging, like all the tools hanging nice on the wall. It was utilitarian, and that was all part of the idea. that I prefer to make stuff. Like I prefer to design and make things rather than make, a nice looking tool or something like that.
Yeah.
And now I have, like, obviously I'm not at the point of doing it, but I'm like excited by the prospect of making my workshop look nice because I have that additional time in the evenings.
Yeah, I get
and whether
that.
it actually happens.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but I wanted my new workshop. Definitely, there's way more of a focus on keeping it clean. Because my old workshop was a bit like yours, where it was just kind of open stud work, open roof, and everything
dust
was just
gets everywhere.
Dust settles everywhere, and you couldn't control it. And once you started, that was it. And now I'm much more focused on, okay, if I'm going to spend the day making a big mess with this machine, I'm then going to spend half an hour and clean it all up, try and put the big fans on, open the roller door, blow everything out I can, get it back to the condition it should be in, and it seems to be working. So I'm definitely more proud of it, and there's definitely improvements I think I could make. But for me, I think the biggest problem is I don't have the cash flow right now, or since I've been here, to buy 10 sheets of plywood so I can make something pretty. It's just I've just got to carry on having jobs go through, and that's just part of me being the only person earning money, I think.
Yeah, and that is one of the reasons why, and I've said this so many times since I started working this, and even before going full time, I don't want commissions to be the sole source of income for this business, because I want to have and that's what YouTube's about. So if I can, make it on YouTube, like what Neil does, Neil Pask, where you can supplement your business through YouTube or something similar, so that you do have that freedom. Because it's for everyone who's doing this as a hobby, looking at you doing this as a full-time job. The jobs that I'm taking on, this is obviously the same for you guys, I'm not in a position to say no to anything. So I have to take on jobs that I don't want to do. So then it's not the joy of woodworking. Mm-hmm. I am gluing panels together. That's what I'm doing. I'm not building Bryan, a lot of the work that you do looks like, and I don't know if this is just because you've got to this position over time, but from an outside, it looks like you have a bit of say over what you do and don't want to take, and you'll take on the work that you would rather be doing, because you're at a point where you can quote high enough to say that's going to make it worth. That's going to be worth the risk of turning down other jobs.
It definitely takes time, but I was always a big proponent of show the work, like especially on your socials, show the work that you want to get. Like for years, I took on jobs that would never have been posted. Even things like I'll have people contact me saying, "Oh, can you just dress this timber for me?" And I'll do it. Like, and it might be a couple of $100 or something like that, and it's still money. That it's if you work out an hourly rate of, I might be charging whatever $80 an hour or something, or $90 an hour for this piece of furniture. But then when you actually break it down to the costs at the end of the project, that $90 gets squeezed. Whereas if I know that it's 4 hours of dressing timber, it's 4 hours of dressing timber. Like you're able to make probably more money out of that than you are out of the piece. But that facilitates the making of the piece. So like everybody does jobs they don't want to do, and I consider myself fortunate that I don't have to do it as like 80% of my business, but it still definitely makes up a small proportion there.
Yeah, I've been taking on bigger and bigger jobs because there's way more margin in it. I can actually feed my family off a bigger job. More stress. There's more of everything, more planning and all sorts of stuff. But if I have someone come to me, I have a client who wants a new baby cot and a chest of drawers. Yeah, I'm going to make it for them, and I can do it. But I'm not making much money I mean, the price is what the price is. They're willing to spend it. I think it's going to come out at about $6,000 or something. But I'm not making a heck of a lot from that. And then I have another client who wants to spend $25,000 on a kitchen renovation. I don't really like making kitchens, but I can do it quick and efficiently, and I can make way more margin on that kind of size job. And so that's the kind of thing I've been taking on more and more. I mean, you only have to look at my Instagram feed to see how sporadically I post on there because of what Bryan just said. I'm typically posting things I'm really proud of and want to do more of, and all the cabinetry boxes don't get much of a look in on my Instagram. And so there's these big gaps where I haven't posted for ages because I've just been making boxes.
Yeah. It's this funny thing, Robin, but this is the thing that all bespoke designer makers deal with. You have to have such a massive range of skill sets, or you have to keep adding to it all the time.
Yes. And
you will probably never get the financial payback that reflects on those skills that you've learned. Like I had a bit of a moment the other day. I was driving between Daylesford and Ballarat, and I was behind this van, and it's like a brand new big Mercedes van, and it was like the decking guy or something. I can't remember the business. I'm like, that fucker is able to afford that van just from making a deck. It's literally like he's working with a drop saw, a track saw, and a drill, and an impact driver and a drill. That's it. But he's got his niche, and people will pay for it, and he can knock it out quick and get on to the next job, and probably support his family quite easily on something like that. Whereas the slowness of furniture is one of the things that will kill it financially. But it's one of the things that attracts us to it at the same time. Like, I think pretty much all the furniture makers I know are in the slow. They like building things slowly. They like things coming together and doing it right, and trying to make payments and bills and all that kind of stuff with that mindset is really hard. But it's rewarding, you know.
That's the thing. I don't know if you guys saw the rounds table I finished just recently.
Yeah,
there's a Lazy Susan in the middle. The brief from the client was, I want a nice round table. That's it.
Yeah.
I gave them that, and they were like, oh yeah, that's fantastic. Let's have all of that. And I made it so much harder for myself because I drew the Lazy Susan flush with the tabletop. Because I was like, who wants to have a Lazy Susan that takes up most of the table? You can't do anything else. You can't lay papers out on the table or anything. It's a big step. So I made life absolutely miserable for myself. And then the actual Lazy Susan was never meant to be veneered and look pretty, but I did that because I was like, what else am I going to do? You've got to do something nice. So I spent another week making that Lazy Susan inner that was never part of the price. But I mean, if I had priced it in, she would never have taken the job. And so it was a matter of, I'm going to do this for the love of it, and then maybe I get some accolades for it if it turns out to work, you know?
Yeah. Well, you got a share on a repost on Wood Review.
Yeah, well, that's probably because I paid my entry fee.
Oh, right. I didn't realize you. So is that for the maker? Yeah,
of the year? I entered it into the maker of the year thing. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go cast my vote for Nick again. Now, if you don't mind me asking, and if you don't want to give the answer, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
In terms of your time, did you come away profitable, or was it a loss for you?
Yeah, I made some money. I mean, I think I don't actually know off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was $6,500.
Mm-hmm. So you accurately, and I don't want to go into that too much because we're almost at time, but this is going to be an episode this season. I was saying, Bryan, before you jumped on to Joey, you guys are going to just be hounded by questions because I have got like an A4 sheet of questions that I need to run by you guys because there is so much more to all of this. Anyway, so you accurately quoted for all the, in terms of your time, you accurately quoted your time for those unknowns.
The time is tricky. You can't see it as very few workshops have every workable hour accounted for and paid for. I think the way I work now is more of a monthly budget, even more than weekly now. So whatever I have to do during 4 weeks to make up the money I need to make budget by the end of the month, that is what it is. And if that's just me working 1 day a week and having some magical client who just wants a breadboard, or if I have to work 80-hour weeks to get the job done, it's about making budget at the end of the month. And so I don't see it as profitable in terms of every hour worked, but the job definitely paid for my groceries and petrol and stuff for that week. That week when I got when I got paid for it, and I took the material costs out of it and overheads, I had enough money to go grocery shopping, buy petrol, buy the kids a toy.
Because I have missed the mark on every single project I've taken on.
But you will, Robin.
I've completely missed it.
I know it's kind of been but use us as the resource, and I think a lot of our listeners are probably in the same boat as you, where they're looking to transition to being a full-time maker. So definitely use us through this series as you're encountering things, and I know we do it in messages quite a bit, but definitely create a list and bring it to the show, and we can talk about it, because it's obviously you've asked lots of questions over the years that we've been on the show, but now you're actually in the thick of it. I think there's no dumb questions.
And it's amazing how, as you say, with all those questions, did not prepare me for what was going to happen. And until you are, as you say, in the thick of it. It's completely different. Yeah. Yeah, but it's fun times, though. It is fun times, but whew.
Yeah. And we're going to get some quality guests lined up this season. I've been having some chats behind the last few months, and there's some good people that are going to come on.
Yeah, I've got one that I'm hoping to get on. It was a guest that we almost got on, an American guest many years ago, but I'm going to try again this season. Won't give out a name yet, just in case. But yeah, let's call it there. I think that's a good one.
Okay.
It's great to be back. Before we go, I do just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has continued their donations even through our off season. It's amazing. Again, won't say names.
That's awesome.
You know who you are. Really do appreciate it. And there will be a donation link somewhere in the notes. It's on the website as well.
in the Instagram bio as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. And the reviews as well for the show have been really cool. I think we're 4.9 stars on Apple Podcasts, and people are actually leaving reviews, which is great, because it obviously, like every podcast says, it obviously helps other people find you, the higher and more people that rate you. So please keep the reviews coming as well.
Cool. All right, I'm going to get back to work, because we've spent an hour of me not making money, or I wouldn't have been making money anyway, but with the way things are going. So I'm going to get back to work, and we'll catch up again in 2 weeks.
See ya.
See you guys.